Hey, Rick.
Hey, Megan.
I am still at my home office, my home
Hmm.
base, because the office is not cleared yet to enter back in. I think this is week 4,
Mm,
and I have had it. Enough is enough. I like being in the office and having, that separate time
yeah.
away from
Mhm.
home that people aren't bothering me. Not that my family is a bother, but I'm
Yeah, you
meeting
want to be,
clients here. I'm
yeah. Hmm.
recording. I'm having my Zooms. It's like losing my mind here. Get me back in the office.
Yeah, let's go, right? Let's have, how much longer are you going to be out of the office?
I hope not much longer.
Yeah.
I hope they have to do some tests and then we'll be back. But
Mm.
speaking of repairs,
Okay.
I'm going to segue into our topic for today. And
Hmm.
that is when you buy a house and you do an inspection and there's some repairs to be made. You're going to
Every
take a
time.
journey. Here we go.
Hmm.
Okay. So, and I'm talking to buyers right now and realtors. Those are my top 2. And the third is sellers. Okay. Because I
Hmm.
have a good way for you to go about this. And it works most of
Okay.
the time. Okay.
Hmm.
So, the first thing you have to understand is that on the California purchase agreement, it says that this house is being sold as is unless there's some other agreement agreed upon or other repair agreed upon and in writing. So
Hmm.
the first thing is you assume nothing. If you're touring the house and the seller's there or the agent's there and they say, oh, they're going to paint this room or they're going to improve this situation over here, that means nothing, of course, unless it's in writing. And the next thing is when you have your home inspection, you have to remember that unless your home is a brand new home, it's not going to be up to code, okay? Because building codes change.
You do.
And so most of the houses in Orange County were built in the 1950s, depending on what region you're in, right? Like what's
Hmm.
your house? 70s probably?
78. Hmm.
Yeah. So you're, in your Belinda, you're in the hills. I mean, that was the farmland until 78, right?
It really
So
was.
yeah. So your house is to code for 78. Our house is to code for 1923. Yeah,
Hmm.
1923. So if a home inspector came into my house and they looked at my outlets or, my electrical panel or something, they're going to say it's not to code. Now, a home seller is not required to bring your home you're purchasing up to code for today's codes. That's one thing you have to know. That the
Yes, for sure.
inspector has a lot of liability. Inspectors have a ton of
Hmm.
liability. And so
Hmm.
they have to point everything out. It's not because sometimes sellers get the inspection report and they go, oh, whoa, 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 like take it personal. It's not
Hmm.
personal. It might
Oh,
seem
yeah.
stupid or yeah, it might be stupid or trivial to you, but to the
Hmm.
home inspector, they have to cover their assets and they have to be very vigilant and spell everything out for everybody. Okay. So
Yep.
your house is not going to be to go to code unless it's brand new, and the seller is not required to bring it to code. So keep that in mind. And as a seller, there's going to be a lot of things on that inspection report that you're going to think are baloney. And
Hmm.
that's fine to think it's baloney. It's not personal.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Everybody has to cover their assets here. That's why you have realtors, because we have errors and omissions insurance. I mean, who's going to sue if there's a situation? The buyer's going to sue, and they're going to sue us, even if we had
Everybody.
nothing to do with it.
Hmm.
Anyway, so then let's say you do your inspection and your inspector says, for example, this air conditioner is on the fritz. It's 20 years old. It's past its life expectancy or whatever the situation is. It still works, but you should budget in the future to have to replace this air conditioner. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, the buyer might say, well, I want to ask the seller for a new air conditioner. And you have to remember the air conditioner works. the seller is very unlikely to replace anything that works. Okay. If you ask the seller for credit for an air conditioner, that means you'd have to find out how much money it was, and you would ask the seller for a credit. You wouldn't ask for a credit for a whole new air conditioner. You would ask for a portion of a credit for a new air conditioner. So you really have to look at this, and you're still probably not going to get it because the seller is not selling you a house with a brand new roof or a brand new air conditioner. So unless these things are broken down, falling apart, currently leaking, non-functional, if they advertise the house, for example, that it has an air conditioner and the air conditioner doesn't work, then you have a different story. But if the air conditioner works, but it's just sort of old, then you're probably not going to be able to negotiate anything. So you have to be able to look at your findings from your inspection report and decide what is truly a surprise and something that you are going to need to look into more or ask for credit for, but not to be frivolous about it. That's another thing.
Right.
Being frivolous about anything with a real estate transaction is a problem. You have to be thoughtful, careful, articulate. You need to spell it out and why. Don't just send over a repair request with no context, explain to the seller. If you're the buyer's agent, explain to the seller, what you're asking for, why, and be gracious about it, because you really want them to consider your client's request, and you have to call the other agent and talk to them about it and say if this is a deal breaker, So there's some finesse, when you're putting together these inspection findings.
Well, I see that a lot on my side of the business, and you and I have been to this for many years, as you know, but this is where, and I'm just going to say this, I know we see it a lot, but I want to say it again. This is where having the right realtor with the right skill set pays, because I've seen, for me as a lender, too many transactions literally blow up over a screw with this type of thing, something dumb, easily, and someone wants to dig their heels in, and they're like, as a matter of principle, they're not going to do it.
Right.
And it's just, that's because they haven't got the right realtor that knows how to finesse or how to negotiate or how to present and articulate why that's the right thing to do. And then it becomes personal. And then when that becomes personal, guess what happens?
Yeah. Which is so time. I know it's like so unnecessary because, there's a way to do things that people will receive it better, I had a realtor who made an offer. They made a really nice offer. The seller accepted the offer. They didn't put termite in it, but as part of their inspection, they did a termite report, and they found some things, and they asked the seller for a credit, but they didn't ask the seller for the whole credit, and that meant a lot to the seller because the seller felt like that termite is often a negotiating item and that they had left it off of their offer, but the buyer was now in good faith asking for a reasonable amount. Seller's not going to, kiss the buyer goodbye over a couple $1,000s. So
good point.
Yeah. So you really, and at the end of the day, the seller you could be the most thoughtful, careful realtor and present something, that should be acceptable. And you could run into the seller that just simply says, no, I'm not doing any of it. And in that case, you just talk to your buyer and you say, well, unfortunately, here's the seller's stance, and do you want to purchase it? Do you want to not purchase it? We already know how much these things look like they will cost in the future. Is that an amount that you're willing to take on? So then it's kind of a different discussion, but that's one of the parts of negotiating and having an escrow that is the second most stressful part besides getting your offer accepted.
Yeah, and the loan approval, right?
Yeah.
But I'm glad you brought that up today, Megan, because that is a big point. And people think that once you open escrow, it's all done, everybody's happy, 30 days, magically it just closes. there's a lot that goes into that transaction over the next 30 days, a lot of back and forth, a lot of negotiating, a lot of things pop up. And that's where, we have to have the right team around you that can navigate through that without, people being hurt over it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Rick, it's busy summer, the Father's Day, graduation, June travel time is over and the market is back to normal beats per minute. And I went out and I showed quite a few properties to some of our clients last Saturday, and it was pretty nice. I liked what was out there for the price. We didn't see any houses that we thought. I think I showed 10 or 11 or 12 houses just in North Orange County, and we didn't see any terrible houses. They were nice. They were remodeled and cared for, so that made me hopeful.
Good. That's good to see. Wow, 10 or 11 houses on a weekend. There was a time not longer you can find 10 or 11 houses for the whole month.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I love looking at houses. Is so much fun because you're teaching your buyer like what to look for, how to look. Let's look at this. Let's look at that. What's over here? What's this all about? There's no dining room or, that sort of thing, or, anyway, it's a lot of fun. I like it.
Good.
All
Good
right.
day for sure.
Well, have a wonderful day. Stay cool. And
thank you. Beautiful day. Yep. Love it.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Perfect. We'll talk soon, Megan. Take care.
Bye.